Ella, Juliet. Adam feels close. I can almost see him in my mind, a blurred form, watercolors bleeding through membrane, staining the whites of my eyes. He's a flooded river, blues and lakes so dark, water and ocean so heavy I sag, surrendering to the heft of the sea. I take a deep breath and fill my lungs with tears, feathers of strange birds fluttering against my closed eyes. I see a flash of dirty blonde hair and darkness and stone. I see blue and green and warmth. Suddenly, an exhalation in my veins. Emmeline. Still here, still swimming. She's grown quiet as of late, the fire of her presence reduced to glowing embers. She's sorry for taking me from myself, sorry for the inconvenience, sorry to have disturbed my world so deeply. Still, she does not want to leave. She likes it here, likes stretching out inside my bones. She likes the dry air and the taste of real oxygen. She likes the shape of my fingers, the sharpness of my teeth. She's sorry, but not sorry enough to go back. So she's trying to be very small and very quiet. She hopes to make it up to me by taking as little space as possible. I don't know how I understand this so clearly except that her mind seems to have fused with mine. Conversations no longer necessary, explanations redundant. In the beginning, she inhaled everything. Excited, eager, she took it all. New skin, eyes and mouth. I felt her marvel in my anatomy, at the systems drawing in air through my nose. I seemed to exist here almost as an afterthought, blood pumping through an organ beating merely to pass time. I was little more than a passenger in my own body, doing nothing as she explored and decayed in starts and sparks, steel scraping against itself, stunning contractions of pain, like claws digging. It's better now that she's settled, but her presence has faded to all but an aching sadness. She seems desperate to find purchase as she disintegrates, unwittingly taking her bits and pieces of my mind. Some days are better than others. Some days her fire of her existence is so acute I forget to draw breath. And some days I'm an idea and nothing more. I am foam and smoke moonlighting a skin. Dandelions gather in my ribcage, moss growing steadily along my spine. Rainwater floods my eyes. Pools in my open mouth, dribbles down the hinges holding together my lips. I continue to sink. And then, why now? Suddenly, surprisingly, chest heaving, lungs working, fists clenching, knees bending, pulse racing, blood pumping, I float. Miss Ferrars, that is Ella? Her name is Juliet. Just call her Juliet, for God's sake. Why don't we call her what she wants to be called? Right, exactly. But I thought she wanted to be called Ella. There was never a consensus. Was there a consensus? Slowly, my eyelids flutter open. Silence explodes, coating mouths and walls and doors and dust motes. It hangs in the air, cloaking everything for all of 2 seconds. Then, shouts, screams, a million sounds. I try to count them all and my head spins, swims. My heart's pounding hard and fast in my chest, recklessly shaking me, shaking my hands, ringing my skull. I look around fast, too fast, head whipping back and forth, and everything swings around, and so many faces, blurred and strange. I'm breathing too hard, spots dotting my vision, and I place 2 hands down on the... I look down, bed below me, and squeeze my eyes shut. What am I? Where am I? Who am I? Silence again, swift and complete, like magic. Magic, a hush falls over everyone, everything, and I exhale, panic draining out of me, and I sit back, soaking in the dregs when warm hands touch mine, familiar. I go suddenly still. My eyes are closed. Feeling moves through me like a wildfire, flames devouring the dust in my chest and kindling in my bones. Hands become arms around me, and the fire blazes. My own hands are caught between us, and I feel the hard lines of his body through the soft cotton of his shirt. A face appears, disappears behind my eyes. There's something so safe here in the feel of him, in the scent of him, something entirely his own. Being near him does something to me, something I can't even explain, can't control. I know I shouldn't, but I can't help but drag the tips of my fingers down the perfect lines of his torso. I hear his breath catch. Flames leap through me, jump up my lungs, and I inhale, dragging oxygen into my body that only fans the flames further. One of his hands clasps the back of my head, the other grasps at my waist. A flash of heat roars up my spine, reaches into my skull. His lips are at my ear, whispering, "Come back to life, love. I'll be here when you wake up." My eyes fly open. The heat is merciless, confusing, consuming. It calms me, settles my raging heart. His hands move along my body, light touches along my arms, the sides of my torso. I claw my way back to him by memory, my shaking hands tracing the familiar shape of his back, my cheeks still pressed against the familiar beats of his heart. The scent of him, so familiar, and then I look up. His eyes, something about his eyes. "Please," he says, "don't shoot me for this." The room comes into focus by degrees, my head settling onto my neck, my skin settling onto my bones, my eyes staring into the very desperately green eyes that seem to know me too well, too much. Aaron Warner Anderson is bent over me, his worried eyes inspecting me, his hand caught in the air like he might have been about to touch me. He jerks back. He stares unblinking, chest rising and falling. "Good morning?" I assume. I'm unsure of my voice, of the hour of the day, of these words leaving my lips and this body that contains me. His smile looks like it hurts. "Something's wrong," he whispers. He touches my cheek. Soft, so soft, like he's not sure if I'm real. Like he's afraid if he gets too close, I'll just, "Oh, look, she's gone. She just disappeared." His 4 fingers graze the side of my face, slowly, so slowly before they slip behind my head, caught in that in-between spot just above my neck. His thumb brushes the apple of my cheek. My heart implodes. He keeps looking at me, looking into my eyes for help, for guidance, for some kind of a protest, like he's so sure I'm going to start screaming or crying or running away, but I won't. I don't think I could even if I wanted to, because I don't want to. I want to stay here, right here. I want to be paralyzed by this moment. He moves closer just an inch. His free hand reaches up to cup the other side of my face. He's holding me like I'm made of feathers, like I'm a bird, white with streaks of gold, like a crown atop its head. I will fly. A soft, shuddering breath leaves his body. "Something's wrong," he says again, but distantly, like he might be talking to someone else. "Her energy is different, tainted." The sound of his voice coils through me, spirals around my spine. I feel myself straighten as I feel a strange, jet-lagged, like I've traveled through time. I pull myself into a seated position and Warner shifts to accommodate me. I'm tired and weak from hunger, but other than a few general aches, I seem to be fine. I'm alive. I'm breathing and blinking and feeling human, and I know exactly why. I meet his eyes. "You saved my life." He tilts his head at me. He's still studying me, his gaze so intense I flush, confused, and turn away. The moment I do, I nearly jump out of my skin. Castle and Kenji and Winston and Brendan and a ton of other people I don't recognize are all staring at me, at Warner's hands on me, and I'm suddenly so mortified I don't even know what to do with myself. "Hey, princess," Kenji waves. "You okay?" I try to stand, and Warner tries to help me, and the moment his skin brushes mine, another sudden, destabilizing bolt of feeling runs me over. I stumble sideways into his arms, and he pulls me in, his heat setting fire to my body all over again. I'm trembling, heart pounding, nervous pleasure pulsing through me. I don't understand. I'm overcome by a sudden, inexplicable need to touch him, to press my skin against his skin until the friction sets fire to us both. Because there's something about him, there's always been something about him that's intrigued me, and I don't understand it. I pull away, startled by the intensity of my own thoughts, but his fingers catch me under the chin. He tilts my face toward him. I look up. His eyes are a strange shade of green, bright, crystal clear, piercing in the most alarming way. His hair is thick, the richest slice of gold. Everything about him is meticulous, pristine. His breath is cool and fresh. I can feel it on my face. My eyes close automatically. I breathe him in, feeling suddenly giddy. A bubble of laughter escapes my lips. "Something's definitely wrong," someone says. "Yeah, she doesn't look like she's okay." Someone else. "Oh, okay, so we're all just saying really obvious things out loud? Is that what we're doing?" Kenji. Warner says nothing. I feel his arms tighten around me and my eyes flicker open. His gaze is fixed on mine, his eyes green flames that will not extinguish, and his chest is rising and falling so fast, so fast, so fast. His lips are there, right there above mine. "Ella," he whispers. I frown. My eyes flick up to his eyes, then down to his lips. "Love, do you hear me?" When I don't answer, his face changes. "Juliet," he says softly. "Can you hear me?" I blink at him. I blink and blink and blink at him and find I'm still fascinated by his eyes. Such a startling shade of green. "We're gonna need everyone to clear the room," someone says suddenly, loudly. "We need to begin running tests immediately." The girls, I realize. It's the girls. They're here. They're trying to get him away from me, trying to get him to break away from me. But Warner's arms are like steel bands around my body. He refuses. "Not yet," he says urgently. "Not just yet." And for some reason, they listen. Maybe they see something in him, see something in his face. Maybe they see what I see from this disjointed, foggy perspective. The desperation in his expression, the anguish carved into his features, the way he looks at me like he might die if I do. Tentatively, I reach up, touch my fingers to his face. His skin is smooth and cold, porcelain. He doesn't seem real. "What's wrong?" I say. "What happened?" Impossibly, Warner goes paler. He shakes his head and presses his face to my cheek. "Please," he whispers. "Come back to me, love." "Aaron." I hear the small hitch in his breath, the hesitation. It's the first time I've used his name so casually. "Yes?" "I want you to know," I tell him, "that I don't think you're crazy." What? He startles. I don't think you're crazy, I say. And I don't think you're a psychopath. I don't think you're a heartless murderer. I don't care what anyone else says about you. I think you're a good person. Warner's blinking fast now. I can hear him breathing, in and out, unevenly. A flash of stunning, searing pain, and my body goes suddenly slack. I see the glint of metal. I feel the burn of the syringe. My head begins to swim, and all the sounds begin to melt together. Come on, son, Castle says, his voice expanding, slowing down. I know this is hard, but we need to stop back. We have to. An abrupt, violent sound gives me a sudden moment of clarity. A man I don't recognize is at the door, one hand on the doorframe, gasping for breath. They're here, he says. They found us. They're here. Jenna is dead. Kenji. The guy gasping at the doorframe is still finishing his sentence when everyone jumps into action. Nori and Sam rush past him into the hall, shouting orders and commands. Something about initiating protocol for System Z, something about gathering the children, the elderly, and the sick. Sonia and Sarah press something into Warner's hands, glance one last time at Jay's limp, unconscious figure, and chase Nori and Sam out the door. Castle crouches to the ground, closing his eyes as he flattens his hands against the floor, listening, feeling. 11. No, 12 bodies. About 500 feet out, I'd guess we'd have about 2 minutes before they reach us. I'll do my best to slow them down until we can clear out of here. He looks up. Mr. Ibrahim. I don't even notice Hyder is here with us until he says, That's more than enough time. He stalks across the room to the wall opposite Juliet's bed, running his hands along the smooth surface, ripping down picture frames and monitors as he goes. Glass and wood shatter into a heap on the floor. Nazira gasps, goes suddenly still. I turn, terrified, to face her, and she says, I need to tell Stefan. She dashes out the door. Warner's unhooking Juliet from the bed, removing her needles, bandaging her wounds. Once she's free, he wraps her sleeping body in the soft blue robe hanging nearby, and at nearly the exact same moment, I hear the telltale ticking of a bomb. I glance back at the wall where Hyder still stands. 2 carefully spaced explosives are now affixed to the plaster, and I hardly even have time to digest this before Hyder bellows at us to move out into the hall. Warner's already halfway out the door, holding the carefully wrapped bundle of Jay in his arms. I hear Castle's voice, a sudden cry, and my own body is lifted and thrown out the door, too. The room explodes. The walls shake so hard it rattles my teeth, but when the tremors settle, I rush back into the room. Hyder blew off a single wall. A perfect, exact rectangle of wall. Gone. I didn't even know it was possible. Pieces of brick and wood and drywall are scattered on the open ground beyond Jay's room. The cold night winds rush in, slapping me awake. The moon is excessively full and bright tonight, a spotlight shining directly into my eyes. I'm stunned. Hyder explains without prompting. The hospital is too big, too complicated. We needed an efficient exit. The reestablishment won't care about collateral damage when they come for us. In fact, they might be craving it, but if we're to have any hope of sparing innocent lives, we have to remove ourselves as far from the central buildings and common spaces as possible. Now move out, he shouts. Let's go. But I'm reeling. I blink at Hyder, still recovering from the blast, the lingering whisper of whiskey in my brain, and now this. Proof that Hyder Ibrahim has a conscience. He and Warner stalk past me through the open wall and start running into the gleaming woods, Warner with Jay in his arms. Neither of them bothers to explain what they're thinking, where they're going, what the hell is going to happen next. Well, actually, I think that last part's obvious. What's going to happen next is that Anderson is going to show up and try to murder us. Castle and I lock eyes. We're the last people still standing in what remains of Jay's hospital room, and we chase after Warner and Hyder toward a clearing at the far end of the sanctuary, as far away from the tents as possible. At one point, Warner breaks off from our group, disappearing down a path so dark I can't see the end of it. When I move to follow, Hyder barks at me to leave him alone. I don't know what Warner does with Juliet, but when he rejoins us, she's no longer in his arms. He says something briefly to Hyder, but it sounds like French. Not Arabic. French. Whatever, I don't have time to think about it. It's already been 5 minutes by my estimate. 5 minutes, which means they should be here any second now. There are 12 bodies incoming. There are only 4 of us here. Me, Hyder, Castle, Warner. I'm freezing. We're standing quietly in the darkness, waiting for death, and the individual seconds seem to tick by with excruciating slowness. The smell of wet earth and decaying vegetation fills my head, and I look down, feeling but not seeing the thick pile of leaves underfoot. They're soft and slightly damp, rustling a little when I shift my weight. I try not to move. Every sound unnerves me. A sudden shudder of branches, an innocent breeze, my own ragged breaths. It's too dark. Even the bright, robust moon isn't enough to properly penetrate these woods. I don't know how we're going to fight anyone if we can't see what's coming. The light's uneven, scattering through branches, shattering across the soft earth. I look down, examining a narrow shaft of light illuminating the tops of my boots, and watch as a spider scuttles up and around the obstacle of my foot. My heart is pounding. There's no time. If only we had more time. It's all I can think over and over again. They caught us off guard. We weren't prepared. It didn't have to go down like this. My head is spinning with what-ifs and maybes and it could-have-beens, even as I face down the reality right in front of me, even as I stare straight into the black hole devouring my future. I can't help but wonder if we could have done this differently. The seconds build. Minutes pass. Nothing. The rapid beating of my heart slows into a sick stutter of dread. I've lost perspective. My sense of time is warped in the dark, but I swear it feels like we've been here for too long. Something is wrong, Warner says. I hear a sharp intake of breath. Hyder. Warner says softly, "We miscalculated." "No!" Castle cries. That's when I hear the screams. We run without hesitation, all 4 of us, hurtling ourselves toward the sounds. We tear through branches, sprain ankles on overgrown roots, propel ourselves into the darkness with the force of pure, undiluted panic. Rage. Sobs rend the sky. Violent cries echo into the distance. Inarticulate voices, guttural moans, goosebumps rising along my flesh. We're sprinting toward death. I know we're close when I see the light. Noria. She's cast an ethereal glow above the scene, bringing the remains of a battlefield into sharp focus. We slow down. Time seems to expand, fracturing apart as I bear witness to a massacre. Anderson and his men made a detour. We hoped they'd come straight for Warner, straight for Juliet. We hoped, we tried, we took a gamble, we bet wrong. And we knew the reestablishment well enough to understand that they were punishing these innocent people for harboring us, slaughtering entire families for providing us aid and relief. Nausea hits me with the force of a blade, stunning me, knocking me sideways. I slump against a tree. I can feel my mind disconnecting, threatening unconsciousness, and somehow I force myself not to pass out from horror, terror, heartbreak. I keep my eyes open. Sam and Noria are on their knees, holding broken, bleeding bodies close to their chests, their tortured cries piercing the strange half-night. Castle stands beside me, his body slack. I hear his half-choked sob. We knew it was possible. Hyder said they might do this, but somehow I still can't believe my eyes. I desperately want this to be a nightmare. I would cut off my right arm for a nightmare. But reality persists. The sanctuary is little more than a graveyard. Unarmed men and women mowed down. From where I'm standing, I count 6 children dead, eyes open, mouths agape, fresh blood still dripping down their limp bodies. Ian's on his knees, vomiting. Winston stumbles backward, hits a tree. His glasses slide down his face, and he only remembers to catch them at the last moment. Only the Supreme kids still seem to have their heads on straight, and there's something about that realization that strikes fear into my heart. Nazira, Hyder, Warner, Stefan, they walk calmly through the wreckage, faces unchanged and solemn. I don't know what they've seen, what they've been a part of, that makes them able to stand here, still relatively cool in the face of so much human devastation, and I don't think I want to know. I offer Castle my hand, and he takes it, steadies himself. We exchange a single glance before diving into the fray. Anderson is easy to spot, standing tall in the midst of hell, but hard to reach. His Supreme Guard swarms us, weapons drawn. Still, we move closer. No matter what comes next, we fight to the death. That was always the plan from the first, and it's what we'll do now. Round 2. The still living fighters on the field straighten at our approach, at the scene forming, and steal glances at one another. We're surrounded by firepower, that's true, but nearly everyone here has a supernatural gift. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to put up a fight. A crowd gathers slowly around us, half sanctuary, half point. Hale bodies breaking away from the wreckage to form a new battalion. I feel the fresh hope moving through the air. A tantalizing maybe. Carefully, I pull free a gun from my side holster. And just as I'm about to make a move, don't. Anderson's voice is loud, clear. He breaks through his wall of soldiers, stalking towards us casually, looking as polished as always. I don't understand at first why so many people gasp at his approach. I don't see it. I don't notice the body he's dragging with him. And when I finally notice the body, I don't recognize it. Not right away. It's not until Anderson jerks the small figure upright, nudging his head back with the gun, that I feel the blood exit my heart. Anderson presses the gun to James's throat, and my knees nearly give out. "This is very simple," Anderson says. "You will hand over the girl, and in return, I won't execute the boy." We're all frozen. "I should clarify, however, that this is not exchange. I'm not offering to return him to you. I'm only offering not to murder him here, on the spot. But if you hand over the girl now, without a fight, I might consider letting most of you disappear into the shadows." "Most of us?" I say. Anderson's eyes glance off my face and the faces of several others. "Yes, most of you," he says, his gaze lingering on Hyder. "Your father is very disappointed in you, young man." A single gunshot explodes without warning, ripping open a hole in Anderson's throat. He grabs at his neck and falls with a choked cry, on one knee looking around for his assailant. Nazira. She materializes in front of him just in time to jump up into the sky. The Supreme soldiers start shooting upward, releasing round after round with impunity. And though I'm terrified for Nazira, I realize she took that risk for me. For James. "We'll do our best," she'd said. I didn't realize her best included risking her life for that kid. For me. God, I fucking love her. I go invisible. Anderson is struggling to snatch the flow of blood at his throat while keeping his grip on James, who appears to be unconscious. 2 guards remain at his side. I fire 2 shots. They both go down, crying and clutching limbs, and Anderson nearly roars. He starts clawing at the air in front of him, then fumbles for his gun with one red hand, blood still seeping from his lips. I take that opportunity to punch him in the face. He rears back, more surprised than injured, but Brendan moves in quickly, clapping his hands together to create a twisting, crackling bolt of electricity he wraps around Anderson's legs, temporarily paralyzing him. Anderson drops James. I catch him before he hits the floor and bolt toward Lily, who's waiting just outside Honoria's ring of light. I unload his unconscious body into her arms, and Brendan builds an electric shield around their bodies. A beat later, they're gone. Relief floods through me. Too quickly. It unsteadies me. My invisibility falters for less than a second, and in less than a second I'm attacked from behind. I hit the ground hard, air leaving my lungs. I struggle to flip over, to stand up, but a Supreme soldier's already pointing a rifle at my face. He shoots. Castle comes out of nowhere, knocking the soldier off his feet, stopping the bullets with a single gesture. He redirects the ammunition meant for my body, and I don't even realize what's happened until I see the dude drop to his knees. He's a human sieve bleeding out the last of his life right in front of me, and it feels suddenly surreal. I drag myself up, my head pounding in my throat. Castle's already moving, ripping a tree from its roots as he goes. Stefan's using his super strength to pummel as many soldiers as he can, but they won't stop shooting, and he's moving slowly, blood staining nearly every inch of his clothing. I watch him sway. I run toward him, try to shout a warning, but my voice gets lost in the din, and my legs won't move fast enough. Another soldier charges at him, unloading rounds, and this time, I scream. Hyder comes running. He dives in front of his friend with a cry, knocking Stefan to the ground, protecting his body with his own, throwing something into the air as he goes. It explodes. I'm thrown backward, my skull ringing. I lift my head, delirious, and spot Nazira and Warner each locked in hand-to-hand combat. I hear a blood-curdling scream and force myself up toward the sound. It's Sam. Noria beats me to her, falling to her knees to lift her wife's body off the ground. She wraps blinding bands of light around the two of them, the protective spirals so bright they're excruciating to look at. A nearby soldier throws his arms over his eyes as he shoots, crying out and holding steady even as the force of Noria's light begins to melt the flesh off his hands. I put a bullet through his teeth. 5 more guards appear out of nowhere, coming at me from all sides, and for half a second I can't help but be surprised. Castle said there were only 12 bodies, 2 of which belonged to Anderson and James, and I thought we'd taken out at least several of the others by now. I glance around the battlefield, at the dozens of soldiers still actively attacking our team, and then back again, at the 5 heading my way. My head swims with confusion. And then, when they all begin to shoot, terror. I go invisible, stealing through the single foot of space between 2 of them, turning back just enough to open fire. A couple of my shots find their marks. The others are wasted. I reload the clip, tossing the now empty one to the ground, and just as I'm about to shoot again, I hear her voice. "Hang on," she whispers. Nazira wraps her arms around my waist and jumps. Up. A bullet whizzes past my calf. I feel the burn as it grazes my skin, but the night sky is cool and bracing, and I allow myself to take a steadying breath, to close my eyes for a full and complete second. Up here, the screams are muted. The blood could be water. The screams could be laughter. The dream lasts for only a moment. Our feet touch the ground again, and my ears refill with the sounds of war. I squeeze Nazira's hand by way of thanks, and we split up. I charge toward a group of men and women I only vaguely recognize, people from the sanctuary, and throw myself into the bloodshed, urging one of the injured fighters to pull back and take shelter. I'm soon lost in the motions of battle, defending and attacking, guns firing, guttural moaning. I don't even think to look up until I feel the ground shake beneath my feet. Castle. His arms are pointed upward toward a nearby building. The structure begins to shake violently, nails flying, windows shuddering. A cluster of Supreme Guards reaches for their guns, but stops short at the sound of Anderson's voice. I can't hear what he says, but he seems to be nearly himself again, and his command appears to be shocking enough to inspire a moment of hesitation in his soldiers. For no reason I can fathom, the guards I'd been fighting suddenly slink away. Too late. The roof of the nearby building collapses with a scream, and with a final, violent shove, Castle tears off a wall. With one arm, he shoves aside the few of our teammates standing in harm's way, and with the other, he drops the ton of wall to the ground, where it lands with an explosive crash. Glass flies everywhere, wooden beams groaning as they buckle and break. A few Supreme soldiers escape, diving for cover, but at least 3 of them get caught under the rubble. We all brace for a retaliatory attack, but Anderson holds up a single arm. His soldiers go instantly still, weapons going slack in their hands. Almost in unison, they stand at attention, waiting. I glance at Castle for a directive, but he's got eyes on Anderson just like the rest of us. Everyone seems paralyzed by a delirious hope that this war might be over. I watch Castle turn and lock eyes with Noria, who's still cradling Sam to her chest. A moment later, Castle raises his arm. A temporary standstill. I don't trust it. Silence coats the night as Anderson staggers forward, his lips a violent, liquid red, his hand casually holding a handkerchief to his neck. We'd heard about this, of course, about his ability to heal himself, but seeing it actually happen in real time is something else altogether. It's wild. When he speaks, his voice shatters the quiet, breaks the spell. Enough, he says. Where is my son? Murmurs move through the crowd of bloodied fighters, a red sea slowly parting at his approach. It's not long before Warner appears, striding forward in the silence, his face spattered in red. A machine gun's locked in his right hand. He looks up at his father. He says nothing. What did you do with her? Anderson says softly, and spits blood on the ground. He wipes his lips with the same cloth he's using to contain the open wound on his neck. The whole scene is disgusting. Warner continues to say nothing. I don't think any of us know where he hid her. Jay seems to have disappeared, I realize. Seconds pass in a silence so intense we all begin to worry about the fate of our standstill. I see a few of the Supreme soldiers lift their guns in Warner's direction, and not a second later, a single lightning bolt fractures the sky above us. Brendan. I glance at him, then at Castle, but Anderson once again lifts his arm to stall his soldiers. Once again, they stand down. I will only ask you one more time, Anderson says to his son, his voice trembling as it grows louder. What did you do with her? Still, Warner stares impassively. He's spattered in unknown blood, holding a machine gun like it might be a briefcase, and staring at his father like he might be staring at the ceiling. Anderson can't control his temper the way Warner can, and it's obvious to everyone that this is a battle of wills he's gonna lose. Anderson already looks half out of his mind. His hair's matted and sticking up in places, blood congealing on his face, his eyes shot through with red. He looks so deranged, so unlike himself that I honestly have no idea what's going to happen next. And then he lunges for Warner. He's like a belligerent drunk, wild and angry, unhinged in a way I've never seen before. His swings are wild but strong, unsteady but steadied. He reminds me in a sudden, frightening flash of understanding of the father Adam so often described to me. A violent drunk fueled by rage. Except that Anderson doesn't appear to be drunk at the moment. No, this is pure, unadulterated anger. Anderson seems to have lost his mind. He doesn't just want to shoot Warner. He doesn't want someone else to shoot Warner. He wants to beat him to a pulp. He wants physical satisfaction. He wants to break bones and rupture organs with his own hands. Anderson wants the pleasure of knowing that he and he alone was able to destroy his own son. But Warner isn't giving him that satisfaction. He meets Anderson blow for blow in fluid, precise movements, ducking and sidestepping and twisting and defending. He never misses a beat. It's almost like he can read Anderson's mind. I'm not the only one who's stunned. I've never seen Warner move like this, and I almost can't believe I've never seen it before. I feel a sudden, unbidden surge of respect for him as I watch him block attack after attack. I keep waiting for him to knock the dude out, but Warner makes no effort to hit Anderson. He only defends. And only when I see the increasing fury on Anderson's face do I realize that Warner's doing this on purpose. He's not fighting back because he knows it's what Anderson wants. The cool, emotionless expression on Warner's face is driving Anderson insane. And the more he fails to rattle his son, the more enraged Anderson gets. Blood still trickles slowly from the half-healed wound on his neck when he cries out angrily and pulls a free gun from inside his jacket pocket. "Enough!" he shouts. "That is enough." Warner takes a careful step back. "Give me the girl, Aaron. Give me the girl, and I will spare the rest of these idiots. I only want the girl." Warner is an immovable object. "Fine," Anderson says angrily. "Seize him." 6 Supreme Guards begin advancing on Warner, and he doesn't so much as flinch. I exchange glances with Winston, and it's enough. I throw my invisibility over Winston just as he throws his arms out, his ability to stretch his limbs, knocking 3 of them to the ground. In the same moment, Hyder pulls a machete from somewhere inside the bloody chainmail he's wearing under his coat and tosses it to Warner, who drops the machine gun and catches the blade by the hilt without even looking. A fucking machete. Castle's on his knees, arms toward the sky as he breaks off more pieces of the half-devastated building. But this time, Anderson's men don't give him the chance. I run forward, too late to help as Castle's knocked out from behind, and still I throw myself into the fight, battling for ownership of the soldier's gun with skills I developed as a teenager. A single, solid punch to the nose, a clean uppercut, a hard kick to the chest, a good old-fashioned strangulation. I look up, gasping for breath, hoping for good news, and do a double take. 10 men have closed in on Warner, and I don't understand where they came from. I thought we were down to 3 or 4. I spin around confused, turning back just in time to watch Warner drop to one knee and swing up with the machete in a sudden, perfect arc, gutting the man like a fish. Warner turns another strong swing, slicing through the guy on his left, disconnecting the dude's spine in a move so horrific I have to look away. In the second it takes me to turn back, another guard's already charged forward. Warner pivots sharply, shoving the blade directly up the guy's throat and into his open, screaming mouth. With a final tug, Warner pulls the blade free, and the man falls to the ground with a single, soft thud. The remaining members of the Supreme Guard hesitate. I realize then that whoever these new soldiers are, they've been given specific orders to attack Warner and no one else. The rest of us are suddenly, without an obvious task, free to sink into the ground, disappear into exhaustion. Tempting. I reach for Castle, wanting to make sure he's okay, and realize he looks stricken. He's staring at Warner. Warner, who's staring at the blood pooling beneath his feet, his chest heaving, his fist still clenched around the shack of the machete. All this time, Castle really thought Warner was just a nice boy who'd made some simple mistakes, the kind of kid he could bring back home from the brink. Not today. Warner looks up at his father, his face more blood than skin, his body shaking with rage. "Is this what you wanted?" he cries. But even Anderson seems surprised. Another guard moves forward so silently I don't even see the gun he's aimed in Warner's direction until the soldier screams and collapses to the ground. His eyes bulge as he clutches at his throat, where a shard of glass the size of a hand is caught in his jugular. I whip my head around to face Warner, He's still staring at Anderson, but his free hand is now dripping blood. Jesus Christ. "Take me instead," Warner says, his voice piercing the quiet. Anderson seems to come back to himself. "What?" "Leave her, leave them all. Give me your word that you'll leave her alone and I'll come back with you." I go suddenly still, and then I look around, eyes wild for any indication that we're going to stop this idiot from doing something reckless, but no one meets my eyes. Everyone's riveted, terrified. But when I feel a familiar presence suddenly materialize beside me, relief floods through my body. I reach for her hand at the same time she reaches for mine, squeezing her fingers once before breaking the brief connection. Right now, it's enough to know she's here, standing next to me. Nazira's okay. We all wait in silence for the scene to change, hoping for something we don't even know how to name. It doesn't come. "I wish it were that simple," Anderson says firmly. "I really do, but I'm afraid we need the girl. She's not so easily replaced." "You said that Emmeline's body was deteriorating." Warner's voice is low but clear, miraculously steady. "You said that without a strong enough body to contain her, she'd become volatile." Anderson visibly stiffens. "You need a replacement," Warner says. "A new body. Someone to help you complete Operation Synthesis." "No!" Castle cries. "No, don't do this." "Take me," Warner says. "I will be your surrogate." Anderson's eyes go cold. He sounds almost convincingly calm when he says, "You would be willing to sacrifice yourself, your youth and your health and your entire life to let that damaged, deranged girl continue to walk the earth?" Anderson's voice begins to rise in pitch. He seems suddenly on the verge of another breakdown. "Do you even understand what you're saying? You have every opportunity, all the potential, and you'd be willing to throw it all away in exchange for what?" he cries. "Do you even know the kind of life to which you'd be sentencing yourself?" A dark look passes over Warner's face. "I think I would know better than most." Anderson pales. "Why would you do this?" It becomes clear to me that even now, despite everything, Anderson doesn't actually want to lose Warner. Not like this. But Warner's unmoved. He says nothing, betrays nothing. He only blinks as someone else's blood drips down his face. "Give me your word," Warner finally says. "Your word that you'll leave her alone forever. I want you to let her disappear. I want you to stop tracking her every move. I want you to forget she ever existed." He pauses. "In exchange, you can have what's left of my life." Nazira gasps. Hyder takes a sudden, angry step forward and Stefan grabs his arm, somehow still strong enough to restrain Hyder, even as his own body bleeds out. "This is his choice," Stefan gasps, wrapping his free arm around a tree for support. "Leave him." "This is a stupid choice," Hyder cries. "You can't do this, Habibi. Don't be an idiot." But Warner doesn't seem to hear anyone anymore. He stares only at Anderson, who seems genuinely distraught. "I will stop fighting you," Warner says. "I will do exactly as you ask. Whatever you want, just let her live." Anderson's silent for so long it sends a chill through me. Then, "No." Without warning, Anderson raises his arm and fires 2 shots. The first at Nazira, hitting her square in the chest. The second at me. Several people scream. I stumble, then sway, before collapsing. Shit. "Find her," Anderson says, his voice booming. "Burn the whole place to the ground if you have to." The pain is blinding. It moves through me in waves, electric and searing. Someone's touching me, moving my body. "I'm okay," I try to say. I'm okay, but the words don't come. He's hit me in my shoulder, I think, just shy of my chest. I'm not sure. But Nazira, someone needs to get to Nazira. "I had a feeling you'd do something like this," I hear Anderson say. "And I know you used one of these two." I imagine him pointing to my prone body, to Nazira's. "In order to make that happen." Silence. "Oh, I see," Anderson says. "You thought you were clever. You thought I didn't know you had any powers at all." Anderson's voice seems suddenly loud. Too loud. He laughs. "You thought I didn't know, as if you could hide something like that from me. I knew it the day I found you in her holding cell. You were 16. You think I didn't have you tested after that? You think I haven't known all these years that you yourself didn't realize until 6 months ago?" A fresh wave of fear washes over me. Anderson seems too pleased, and Warner's gone quiet again, and I don't know what any of that means for us. But just as I'm beginning to experience full-blown panic, I hear a familiar cry. It's a sound of such horrific agony I can't help but try to see what's happening, even as flashes of white blur my vision. I catch a mottled glimpse. Warner standing over Anderson's body, his right hand clenched around the handle of the machete he's buried in his father's chest. He plants his right foot on his father's gut and roughly pulls out the blade. Anderson's moan is so animal, so pathetic I almost feel sorry for him. Warner wipes the blade on the grass and tosses it back to Hyder, who catches it easily by the hilt even as he stands there, stunned, staring at me, I realize. Me and Nazira. I've never seen him so unmasked. He seems paralyzed by fear. "Watch him," Warner shouts to someone. He examines a gun he stole from his father and, satisfied, he's off, running after the Supreme Guard. Shots ring out in the distance. My vision begins to go spotty. Sounds bleed together, shifting focus. For moments at a time, all I hear is the sound of my own breathing, my heart beating. At least I hope that's the sound of my heart beating. Everything smells sharp, like rust and steel. I realize then, in a sudden, startling moment, that I can't feel my fingers. Finally, I hear the muffled sounds of nearby movement, of hands on my body trying to move me. "Kenji?" Someone shakes me. "Kenji, can you hear me?" Winston. I make a sound in my throat. My lips seem fused together. "Kenji!" More shaking. "Are you okay?" With great difficulty, I pry my lips apart, but my mouth makes no sound. Then, all at once, "Hey, buddy." Weird. "He's conscious," Winston says, "but disoriented. We don't have much time. I'll carry these two. See if you can find a way to transport the others. Where are the girls?" Someone says something back to him, and I don't catch it. I reach out suddenly with my good hand, clamping down on Winston's forearm. "Don't let them get Jay," I try to say. "Don't let..."